We have a wonderful guest speaker today, and I'm sorry that Monique from Lecong from Palo Alto can't be here to introduce her own Chief Information Officer for the City of Palo Alto, so I get that honor. Dr. Jonathan Reichenthal, I should have checked on the pronunciation. I got it? Okay. He's currently the CIO for the City of Palo Alto. He's been there about 6 months, which is the heart of Silicon Valley, as we all know, right? And his responsibilities there span across city technology and innovation, and he's also served as the Chief Information Officer for O'Reilly Media. For over 20 years, he's been helping organizations leverage the value of information and communications technology to solve business problems, increase effectiveness, and support revenue growth opportunities. Dr. Reichenthal is also a highly sought-after public speaker and presents on a range of subjects. He's interviewed often and has been featured on NPR, Forbes, CIO Magazine, Information Week, and Computer World. His TV appearances include a segment on CNBC. And I personally listened to his TED Talk on how the web is redefining privacy, and if you go to his website, there's a link to it. It was very interesting. When not consumed with work or research, he enjoys being a private pilot and scuba diver, so maybe you do want to move to Santa Cruz. In addition, he's an avid tennis and chess player, photographer, and plays piano and guitar. And I think we're very fortunate to have him with us here in the Bay Area, and he seems to be a friend of libraries as well, so we're going to take advantage of him. So, Jonathan, would you?
Be happy to. Thank you. What a terrific introduction. Thank you so much. Very flattering. It's great to be here and great to be invited. It's a privilege for me to be here and to talk to all of you today. Reminded as I drove into this area this morning how beautiful it is with the mountains in the backdrop, and how great it is to live here and be part of this community. So I never take that for granted. So I'm gonna talk for about 40 minutes or so. Leave some time for questions on kind of an area I think is going to be interesting to you. It's not central to your work every single day, but I think it's fascinating stuff. We're going to talk about big trends, particularly with the technology slant, that are impacting each of our lives. And time permitting, so that's the big picture. I'm going to kind of narrow it down then to perhaps talking about the vision for a digital city that we're creating over at our little town of Palo Alto. And you might be interested to see some of the neat things we're doing around that. So that's my plan today. I'm looking forward to sharing some insights with you and a couple of takeaways. So, you know, why do I even sort of get interested in this subject? You know, for a long time, I've been helping companies in one way or another sort of figure out what to do and what the future looks like, and as a result, what to do about the future. And it's not lost on any of us that it's changing more and more rapidly. That pace of change is accelerating. You know, despite my youthful appearance, I've been doing this over 20 years, and it's getting faster, and it's getting, even for technologists like myself, sometimes I'm out of breath trying to keep up with the rate of change. So I found it useful as I was thinking about change to sort of say, what are the kind of big groupings of things that are happening? And so rather than looking at 100 different aspects of our economy and our world, I said, let's just kind of let me select 6 buckets in which there are interesting things happening. But I got to say, they're my 6. There are lots of others, and it's just one type of a choice. So you probably can think of others. The other thing that's apparent is, you know, as the minute I finish this list, I could change it. You know, it's moving that rapidly. Why does something like this matter? I think it matters as you think about the work that you do. You know, you're in a space that is being impacted by digitization and by a rate of change of how people consume and use information. So a lot of this is going to be interesting and valuable to you. I also think that in your private lives, as you go about your private business, you know, these are aspects of things that are really quite fascinating. So let me kind of kick into that. I won't keep you in suspense any longer. And, you know, the first thing is we are moving from an analog world in many ways to a digital world. You know, if you think about anything from photography, which has gone from paper to Facebook or into Instagram. Look at things like books moving from the physical analog book to e-books, and the way in which we consume things. The retail components, the high street retail world is changing from stores to online stores, and a lot of us are now doing things like booking travel and buying insurance and looking after our healthcare information in a digital way. So we see a rapid migration from a world in which stuff was analog, physical, you could touch it, to a world in which it is now digital. So what does that mean? Well, it means lots of things, and you can kind of think through that. But it means a lot of industries that have historically been successful are going away. And the good news is a lot of new industries being created. And so it means at sort of a macro level, we're seeing an economic shift. We're seeing a movement in our economy. Even though we're seeing manufacturing leave, actually I could argue that we're going to see some manufacturing coming back. It's an interesting topic. We're also seeing new industries emerge. And Silicon Valley is at the heart of that. We're seeing new wealth being created as a consequence of this economic shift of how we produce products and services. How do you consume that? Okay, so how is the computing paradigm of our world changing? Like for someone like myself who has been developing and managing technology for better part of 20 years, I'm seeing the shift, and you must be feeling it too. Just looking around the room today, many of you have iPads, you have tablet computers. Probably the vast majority of you have smartphones. And so these are new, right? This is new stuff. We must all be struck by the speed at which people are adopting tablet computing. I don't know that there's been a device that went from zero to hero in record time. And as I kind of go to meetings, and as you do, I bet you're seeing more and more people using those devices. From a pure sort of innovation perspective, it's been a phenomena. It's made Apple into now one of the largest companies in the world. So what do we mean by 4 screens? Well, that's the way in which we consume digital information. And what are they? Smartphone, tablet, PC, or Mac, or depending how you think about it. What's the fourth? The fourth is the television, right? Is our TV. Our TV is about to be transformed. For some of you, it probably is already the way in which you use your television. You might actually surf the internet using your TV. You're probably watching, a lot of people watching YouTube videos. The nature of that consumption is changing from sort of scheduled television into television on demand or information on demand. And I think we can predict to see those 4 sort of screens all become one. So it really doesn't matter which device you boot up. You should have access to your information. Part of that's been driven by the adoption of cloud computing. Probably one of the most successful marketing terms in IT history. The notion of cloud has existed for a long, long time. We've got a great name for it now, but we also have a fast and robust internet to really make the vision of cloud become reality. So, we don't have to think in terms of physical servers sitting inside your library or inside your data center. Your smartphone is connecting with a resource somewhere in America. It might be on the East Coast. Depending on the type of information, that data center might live in Europe or Asia. The bottom line here is where the information is stored is not as important as it used to be. So with your screens and sort of a wireless connection, you'll be able to get access to information. And you probably are frustrated by it today. Like if you have a set of contacts on your smartphone, is that the same set of contacts that's on your laptop or on your work? We're going to see that go away. That will become a legacy of the past. Your set of contacts will be your single source of truth. And that's the promise of these devices. You'll use the device you want for the work you do.